all the news that's fit to print. That's been the logo of the New York Times for over 125 years. It's a bold assertion of journalistic supremacy, but what it really means is that the editors of the Times have taken it upon themselves the task of deciding what the people are fit to know. On September the 11th, the 21st anniversary of one of the most horrific terrorist attacks in human history, the Times decided that what people really needed to know was about the existence of so-called failing private schools in the Jewish community. Times reporters apparently spent over a year working on this story, producing an article available not just in English, but in Yiddish, which capably reinforced racist stereotypes about Jews and traumatizes a community that is facing ever-increasing hate crimes and Jew hatred. Instead of highlighting New York City's abject failure to address Jew hatred, impose consequences on the perpetrators of vicious hate crimes, or provide meaningful inclusion to Jewish voices on CUNY campuses, the New York Times made the editorial decision to impose trauma on the Jewish community through devious reporting that pulls at the heartstrings but fails the test of integrity. What is more manipulative than the suggestion that children are not being taught basic skills in school? The very premise that children are systematically denied a secular education is meant to instill a visceral reaction against the Jewish community. How dare they do that to their children? How dare they, people who are visibly, stereotypically Jewish, not care about their children? That manipulation is subtle. The lack of integrity is more direct. Consider some of the conclusions reached by the Times, with nothing in the way of documentary or testimonial support. According to the article, quote, students grow up and can barely support their own families. Some leave the community and end up addicted to drugs or alcohol. These sort of gratuitous statements are nothing more than inferences built upon suppositions with no facts to support them, and they are simply not true. The simple truth is that the vast majority of Jews, Hasidic or not, lead happy, productive, and fulfilling lives, like the rest of us. In fact, the Jewish Orthodox community is a success story. Observant Jews are well-adjusted, contribute to society, have an incredibly low crime rate and low drug rate, which leads me to conclude what we all already know. Standardized testing is bullshit, and it's not any type of indication of whether you'll be successful in life. I practically failed my SATs. The New York Times article is not reporting. It is the reinforcement of the worst kind of stereotypes, racial stereotypes. Of course, the Times didn't bother to highlight the disparities and inequities that accompany standardized testing, which have themselves been seen as biased against minority communities. Many universities no longer even look at these test results with the understanding that people, especially members of minority and marginalized communities, have more to offer than a number that has nothing to do with who they are. But when it comes to the Jewish community, there's only blame. The Times doesn't demand ending Jew hatred as a remedy for these inequities. Instead, it blames and stigmatizes the Jewish community. Shockingly, it seems that the New York Times is not done targeting the Jewish community. It is still actively looking for people to, quote, share their stories about Hasidic schools. It is appalling to realize that the Times isn't actively looking for stories about Jew hatred, but rather seeking to write articles that only contribute to it. You know, what the Times is seeking to do from reading the headline alone, which plays on anti-Semitic tropes of Jews as greedy and unethical. The headline reads, "In Hasidic enclaves, private schools flush with public money." Is it any surprise that the Times makes no mention about the tremendous successes experienced by the Jewish community in America? The richness of family, the joys of life, or the enlightenment of religion and spirituality that we experience every day? How about the low crime rate in Jewish neighborhoods, or the cohesiveness and mutual support within the Jewish community? The Times failed to mention any of these things. Actually, that's not right. The New York Times chose not to print these things because if it did, it would have defeated its narrative of us versus them. All the news that's fit to print seems to come from a position of privilege these days. This doesn't just hurt the Jewish community, it hurts all of us. The Jewish community deserves better. We all deserve better.